Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The World Holocaust Forum to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the German concentration camp at Auschwitz took place in Jerusalem today. Contrary to what had been feared, neither the Russian President Vladimir Putin nor any of the other leaders speaking today attacked Poland. However, Poland's contribution to the victory over Nazi Germany was not mentioned, and a film which showed examples of anti-Semitism in the world did include photographs from an independent march in Warsaw.
46 heads of state and government took part in the World Holocaust Forum in Jerusalem on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz camp. Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized that the horrors of the Holocaust could never be repeated.
I'm concerned that we have yet to see a unified and resolute stance against the most anti-Semitic regime on the planet, a regime that openly seeks to develop nuclear weapons and annihilate the one and only Jewish state. Israel salutes President Trump and Vice President Pence for confronting the tyrants of Tehran that subjugate their own people.
During the forum, Russian President Vladimir Putin took the stand. The Russian president has been conducting an aggressive propaganda campaign against Poland for several weeks, accusing Poland of complicity in starting World War II and collaboration with Hitler. Today in Jerusalem, Putin said that the crimes of the Nazis and the final solution they planned was one of the darkest pages of modern history. Putin added that the Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians and Poles were considered by the Nazis to be subhuman. The Russian leader also emphasized the role of the Red Army in defeating fascist Germany.
For us, the Holocaust has always been for us a deep wound. It is a tragedy we shall never forget. Before coming to Jerusalem, I read the authentic documents, the briefs from the officers of the Red Army after the liberation of Auschwitz. I have to tell you, colleagues, it is very difficult to read these details that speak in detail how this camp was organized, how this machinery for the cold-blooded extermination of people was working. It is almost unbearable to read.
After Putin's speech, US Vice President Michael Pence said that all countries must oppose the wicked wave of anti-Semitism engulfing the world. Pence also said that the Nazis gave Polish cities German names to destroy the Polish culture.
Today we remember what happens when the powerless cry for help and the powerful refuse to answer. The town's name was Oswiecim. As part of their plan to destroy the very existence of Polish culture, the Nazis gave Polish towns German names, and this one they called Auschwitz.
The main celebrations commemorating the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz camp will take place on January 27th in Poland at the Auschwitz Museum. Participation in the celebrations has been confirmed by representatives of the governments of 50 countries, including the presidents of Israel, Germany, Ukraine, Switzerland, Lithuania, and Slovenia. Vladimir Putin did not receive an invitation, and Russia is to be represented by the country's ambassador to Poland.
As announced yesterday by the first president, Małgorzata Gersdorf, the Polish Supreme Court met today in a meeting of its three chambers, the civil, criminal and labour. The meeting considered whether the new judges appointed at the request of the National Council of the Judiciary by President Andrzej Duda are legitimately appointed judges. Duda's position is that the action by the Supreme Court violates the Polish constitutional order.
The meeting of three chambers of the Supreme Court convened as scheduled, despite the fact that by law it should have been suspended as soon as the matter was taken under consideration by the Constitutional Tribunal. It is within the jurisdiction of that body to decide whether the new judges appointed at the request of the new National Council of the Judiciary by President Andrzej Duda are legitimate judges. The President of the Supreme Court Disciplinary Chamber, Tomasz Przesławski, communicated to the first President of the Supreme Court, Małgorzata Gersdorf, a complaint that the procedure of calling a Supreme Court session with only three chambers is wrong, because it ignores the disciplinary chamber and it violates the Supreme Court Act. In this situation, that motion to call a meeting should be amended or cancelled altogether. According to President Andrzej Duda, the Supreme Court should not deal with this issue because it is the President who has the indisputable prerogative of nominating judges of the National Council of the Judiciary. In the light of the ruling by the European Court of Justice, I frankly say this, that I do not see any legal basis justifying the formulation of such judicial questions. They are as imaginary as the decision of the Supreme Court First President to call a meeting of 3 chambers of that court. This is being challenged by many lawyers on the basis of the regulations of the Supreme Court itself. They are violating their own rules. It is not known when exactly the Constitutional Tribunal will issue a ruling on the competence dispute between the Supreme Court, the Sejm, and the President. According to Professor Waldemar Gontarski, Poland's representative at the Court of Justice of the European Union, by ignoring the position of the Constitutional Tribunal, the Supreme Court would put itself above the law.
The dangerous pneumonia-causing coronavirus that first appeared in China has now spread abroad, with Singapore and Vietnam being the latest countries affected. To try to prevent the spread of the virus, the Chinese authorities have quarantined the city of Wuhan, where the virus first broke out.
17 deaths and nearly 600 sick is the current toll of the coronavirus spreading in China. Wuhan, a city inhabited by 11 million and located in the central part of the country, has been completely isolated from the world. All connections to and from Wuhan have blocked, with public transport being temporarily suspended, making life difficult for those who travel for the Chinese New Year. While the virus is still likely to spread further, the Chinese authorities have ensured that the situation is under control. The virus has already spread outside China. There have been cases of infection in South Korea, Japan, Australia, the United States, and Taiwan. The World Health Organization has not yet announced a state of worldwide emergency, arguing that too little is as yet known about the spread of the coronavirus. Previous research showed coronavirus to be of animal origin. The first patients were employees and customers of the Wuhan seafood market, which sells the meat of various animal species, including camels, foxes, badgers, and several types of reptiles. The market area was closed on January 1st in an attempt to prevent the disease spreading.
Poland's President Andrzej Duda, commenting on the World Holocaust Forum, said that he appreciated the words of the US Vice President Mike Pence. By mentioning Poland, the Vice President ensured that the whole world heard the historical truth.
In his speech at the World Holocaust Forum, the US Vice President Mike Pence mentioned Poland. He spoke about what happened in Poland when occupied by the Germans and how they destroyed Polish culture. He also explained where the name Auschwitz came from. Asked by the Davos reporters about the course of the World Holocaust Forum, the President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, thanked Pence for mentioning Poland. He said that he really appreciates his words, which show the whole world the historical truth. I'm very thankful to the US Vice President Mike Pence for mentioning Poland in his speech. He spoke about everything that was happening on the Polish territory when occupied by Nazi Germany and how Polish culture was destroyed. Also for explaining where the name Auschwitz came from, why this concentration camp had this name, and what did it mean in German. I'm very thankful for that because it is a very important element of history. Thanks to Mr. Vice President, the entire world heard of it again. Duda also wrote a letter entitled The Truth That Must Not Die, in which he described the situation in the Auschwitz Nazi concentration camp. He also emphasized the fact that this history cannot be forgotten.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.